we had a press briefing with regard to more revelations on the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin's AWOL activity, missing in action, getting medical procedures, even ending up in the intensive care unit without ever informing the American people, let alone the National Security Advisor and the President of the United States. Well, it's now been revealed that Lloyd Austin is suffering from prostate cancer. And certainly we wish him the best, but that doesn't excuse his behavior. You're in the chain of command here and you're in charge of the Pentagon. That's kind of an important job. You're supposed to let people know when you've got a medical emergency. You know how I know that? Because I know a lot of people who are in the military, and that's the regulation that they all have to adhere to. You see, the Secretary of Defense, who's now in charge of disciplining anyone who wears the uniform and who goes outside the guidelines and the military code, well, he'll throw them in jail. He'll discharge them from the Army if they violate that code. Secretary of Defense just violated that code himself. And he knows better because up until the moment he became SecDef, he himself wore the uniform. The man is a retired four-star general. He can't plead ignorance here. But that's the problem with Lloyd Austin and the Pentagon. What about the White House and how they've handled this? John Kirby, spokesperson for the National Security Council, he fielded questions here, and it didn't go well for Kirby or for the Biden administration.
So the president has known for, I guess, 5 days now that Secretary Austin was in the hospital, but he wasn't informed why?
He was not informed until last Friday that Secretary Austin was in the hospital. He was not informed until this morning that the root cause of that hospitalization was prostate cancer.
All right, now this reporter from CBS is going to do a good job of following up there and say, well, wait a minute. He didn't find out till Friday. I thought you found out on Thursday, and we'll get to that in a minute. But think this through for a second. Biden finds out on Friday that his Secretary of Defense has been missing and unavailable, and it turns out he's in the hospital. And it didn't take, and that wasn't until Tuesday that he actually found out why he was in the hospital. I mean, maybe it's me, but you find out somebody that you work with, somebody that's close to you, somebody that's important, somebody you're supposed to be talking to or interacting with literally on a daily basis. You find out they're in the hospital and you don't immediately say, well, what's going on? Why is he in the hospital? Is he okay? Or what's the problem? You don't get a straight answer to that basic fundamental question for another 5 days? What the hell is going on here?
Is that because the White House knew and didn't inform the president, or because Secretary Austin chose not to share that with the president?
Nobody at the White House knew that Secretary Austin had prostate cancer until this morning, and the president was informed immediately after we were informed.
Okay. Last week, we learned that Jake Sullivan, I believe, found out about the fact that Secretary Austin was hospitalized on Thursday morning. So just want to clarify, are you saying the president found out a day later than the NSC did?
No, Jake was informed, our National Security Advisor was informed that Secretary Austin was in the hospital and had been for some time. He found out late Thursday afternoon, and he and the Chief of Staff, Mr. Zients, informed the president later that evening, early that evening, not long after they learned.
Of course, he just contradicted himself because earlier he said that the president found out on Friday, and now he's saying that he found out Thursday night. I think that's because he just realized that that there was a discrepancy there, so he's changing his story. It's another reason why it's very hard to believe this White House on this, or at this point, any other issue. John Kirby is the best they've got, and he is flailing here. In fact, he benefited there from lack of follow-up and any sort of pressing on the facts and issues, because that was a reporter from CBS News. He didn't get that benefit when Peter Doocy of Fox News started the questioning.
Okay, thank you for all the detail on that. But more broadly, why should we believe anything that this administration tells us about anything ever again?
I think we all recognize, and I think the Pentagon has been very, very honest with themselves about the challenge to credibility.
I love that, by the way. The Pentagon's been really honest with themselves. Okay, but they haven't been honest with us. They haven't been honest with the voters. They haven't been honest with the media. They haven't been honest with the White House. But Thank God the Pentagon's been super duper honest with themselves about this. It gets worse for Kirby.
By what has transpired here, and by how hard it was for them to be fully transparent with the American people. I think we all recognize that. And wait, now just give me a second now. I know you got another one coming here, but we all recognize that this didn't unfold the way it should have on so many levels, not just the notification process up the chain of command, but the transparency issue. We all recognize that.
I love this is such a Washington, D.C. thing. And since I've worked here in the media for so long, I feel like part of my benefit here that I provide you is to help point out what they do so you can see it yourself. Did you notice what he said? This didn't unfold and transpire the way that it should have. You like the passive language there, as if this thing just happened on its own, right? This thing didn't unfold the way it should have. You know what? I don't want to paraphrase him.
We all recognize that this didn't unfold the way it should have.
This didn't unfold the way it should have. This is Washington speak. Mr. Kirby, with all due respect, sir, this didn't unfold. Somebody unfolded it. You see, they specifically use language that doesn't put any individual or individuals in the line of fire to actually take responsibility. This didn't unfold the way it should have. Okay, who unfolded it the way it shouldn't have? Who should be fired? That's the biggest problem with this entire Pentagon. And his answer here reveals it even more so. Wait, there's more here. And every time he responds to this and responds to a question, your answer in your head or your response in your head should be, who's getting fired? Who's getting fired? Everything about this is wrong. Who should be fired? Watch.
On so many levels, not just the notification process up the chain of command, but the transparency issue. We all recognize that. And I think we all want to make sure we learn from that. It's up to you and your colleagues, and it's up to the American people to determine how much they're going to ascribe what happened here to our credibility on every single issue. But in every way, Secretary Austin has been an exceptional defense secretary, and he still has the full faith and confidence of the commander-in-chief. He has led the department at an incredibly dangerous time for our national security interests and those of our allies and partners.
All right, so quickly here, because we want to get to the next question from Doocy, which is actually probably the greatest question asked by a reporter during the entire Biden administration. By every measure, Secretary Austin has been a fantastic, incredible, great Secretary of Defense, John Kirby just said. Can I remind you of Afghanistan? Can I remind you, please, for a moment of the pullout from Afghanistan and the fact that billions and billions of dollars of American military equipment was left in the hands of the Taliban, and the chaos at Hamid Karzai Airport, because it was this Secretary of Defense's decision, along with General Milley at the Joint Chiefs, to leave the military airport that we had built and constructed there, and leave that in the hands of the Taliban and go use the commercial airport in the middle of the biggest city of Afghanistan and rely on the Taliban to provide security. Remember how that unfolded? And oh, by the way, do you remember how we then had to turn around in midair and send thousands of troops back to help secure the area? And that resulted in a terrorist attack that killed 13 service members. And that was Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, who John Kirby, now what a disgrace he is to the uniform that he used to wear. John Kirby calls that performance a fine, great, wonderful job by a Secretary of Defense. That's an outrage. I'm sorry. He hasn't been a very good Secretary of Defense. And the second point he just made, that he has led the Pentagon in an incredibly dangerous time. Dude, the fact that this is such an incredibly dangerous time, in fact, one could argue that the last 2 weeks with the events in the Middle East and Africa and Eastern Europe and Taiwan and China, one could argue that the last 2 to 4 weeks have been the most dangerous time for the United States military during Lloyd Austin's tenure as Secretary of Defense. And he checked out. He wasn't available. He wasn't part of the chain of communications, and he never told anybody that he wasn't part of the chain of communications. The fact that this is a dangerous time is the reason why he should be dismissed. because of this behavior. But then Peter Doocy asks the golden question.
But if the administration is going to go to such great lengths to keep secrets about the defense secretary's health, how can anybody be certain that the administration would not go to the same lengths to keep secret problems with President Biden's health in the future?
If you could logically argue, and you can't, but if you could logically argue that the
He's 81 years old.
wait a second. Just give me a second here, bub. I'll get there.
Bub? Give me a second here, bub. But Doocy's making the point here. And he just interjected and said, Biden's 81 years old. It's legitimate to ask questions about his health. You guys say he's in great health. I mean, you lied about Lloyd Austin and you weren't fully transparent about his health. And, you know, when you look at Lloyd Austin, no, he doesn't look like the picture of health. He looks a little overweight, although he could probably kick my butt. He's an Army general after all. But he doesn't look super. But here's the thing. You look at Lloyd Austin and you don't immediately think, wow, I think he might have some problems with his prostate. See, that's something that, you know, by anatomical design, your prostate is somewhat concealed. You could probably keep that from people. But when you see Joe Biden walk on screen, I mean, even before he utters a word, you just see him walking and you think there's something wrong with him. Then he starts talking and you know for sure that something's wrong with him. And this White House, we are supposed to believe, Peter Doocy asks, it is the most salient and relevant question that anyone's ever asked the Biden White House. Kirby's answer?
If the administration made some sort of Machiavellian effort across the board to keep this from getting public, then I think your question has merit and certainly is a fair one. I don't think it's a fair one because that's not what happened here, Peter.
So let me just be clear here as we wrap up this episode. The answer John Kirby gives is, listen, if we were smart enough and Machiavellian enough and competent enough to actually conceal this thing, then you'd have a point. But we're just not that smart. We're not that competent. That's not what happened here. We're just stupid buffoons. We're just really lousy at communicating. We're just so dumb, so idiotic that we are incapable of being transparent about Lloyd Austin's health. Okay? It wasn't some sort of brilliant Machiavellian intelligent plan here. We're just incompetent. Feel better now? Yeah, we feel great. November cannot come soon enough.